Hey everyone, we're going to take a quick break and talk about our sponsors for the month, AMP Agency. AMP is a full-service digital marketing agency that specializes in tour, rental, and destination marketing.
We would not have sponsors on the show if we could not vouch for them ourselves. AMP Agency does a bunch of stuff for Destiny Water Adventures personally. I 100% vouch for this guy. I've handed them over to other companies in the past before they officially became a sponsor, and they have had nothing but great things to say. If you guys are doing your own marketing and doing a piss poor job of it, do yourselves a favor. Hand yourselves over to AMP Agency, specifically Steve Edwards, their CEO, will call you personally and have a great conversation with you about what you guys need to do for your marketing.
Listen, guys, they do pretty much everything in digital marketing: website development, maintenance, Google AdWords, PPC, graphic design, social media management, SEO, and a myriad of other things. When you choose a marketing company, it's so important to choose a company that knows your industry. And AMP Agency knows activity marketing, especially water sports and tours. They got a promo going for Awkward Watersport Guy listeners for their managed websites. Use promo code Awkward Podcast when you go to amp.agency. Again, that's amp.agency, promo code Awkward Podcast. You get 3 months free and get started with AMP Agency. All right, guys, let's get back to the show. Live from New York. It's the Awkward Watersport Guys.
Total dorks, man. Total nerds. Man, how you doing today, bud?
I'm doing great.
Should we pretend like we're not batching these episodes? So like secret to podcasting, guys, is guys that put out a lot of content. Joe Rogan is not walking into the studio every single day. Like, I mean, I know he's in there a lot, but man, a lot of times you got to back-to-back these things as like schedules do not permit for you to stop every single day. And it's a very well-known trick of the trade in podcasting that, you know, sometimes like, you know, you just got to get together and batch it. And like these come out every week and, you know, we're struggling for topics and trying to keep things relevant. So sometimes me and Greg are saying hi to each other for the 5th or 6th time. Hey, Greg, how's it going? Like, it's great, especially when we have false start episodes. We can't get it started. And we have to keep on redoing the intro like we're walking through the door like Mr. Rogers. But yeah. So like we can talk. We didn't really get into the show before. Like, you know, like we talked a little bit about Memorial Day, but I mean, how are you doing? Because through this sort of it's not even a downturn. We're just getting back to regular life where people are like, yeah, there's other states to go see besides Florida. And that's sort of the big rub for Florida is that we're not really seeing a downturn. We're seeing just a stabilization in traffic. And so like, you know, how are you feeling now that we got some cash flow going and some, you know, seeing some bookings?
I'll tell you, the last week has reinvigorated me in a lot of ways. There were several days where we were at or exceeded last year. So I feel good about that. Not as good as I want it to be, of course. But, you know, here's the thing. It takes time to pivot once you're not seeing the numbers you anticipate. So in that process of pivoting, you're finding other nooks and crannies of where you can improve. You're doing a lot of experiments. Like right now, I'm doing a lot of on-site experiments. Like one of the big experiments we're doing is we're doing 3 tiers of promo codes. And we took a select amount of listings that don't perform very well on TripShock, but they get a lot of traffic. And we are experimenting with different A/B tests to see, okay, if we put a 5% promo code on, does it increase the conversion rate? And so we're doing a lot of that, you know, these little A/B tests to see, okay, if we do this, can we get another point or two in conversion rate? We're adjusting a lot of our marketing. We're running experiences on Google Ads to see if, like, you know, if we use certain keywords, if they will produce more. I mean, there's just a lot of stuff. So in that pivot period, so we didn't really know that things were really bad until April. Like, okay, things are not looking as what we expected. So in that last 2 months, we've been just trying a lot of new stuff. But now that we've done all those things, we took those 60 days, we're starting to apply what we've learned. And a lot of the stuff we learned has helped. So we obviously did that like right before Memorial Day weekend. So now we're starting to see the fruits of our labor of testing and all that. I'm optimistic that some of the changes we make are going to do well, but it's still the problem remains is that the search volume is back to around 2018, 2019 levels. So we're having to work harder to convert that traffic.
Somebody was asking me about like my advice for the Google ad spend and shit like that. And I was like, well, here's what you can do. You can start a podcast with Greg Fisher and spend the next 3 years learning about it like I have. Like, I mean, like if you want to know why I'm a good marketer, like, you know, because my brother and me like sit back and we like chop up marketing and like our bond and network really got formed. And that's what we're going to talk today about is networks. And we're not even going to fucking pitch you ours because we got nothing to sell you. But it got formed in the first conversation we ever had. I'll never forget. Like I was sitting out in the parking lot of the DMV to get a boat registered. It was the first catastrophization of something that I was like, oh, I got to get it. Let's go commercial rental. What am I ever going to do? They want to charge me. How am I going to ever solve this? And Greg and I, before I walked in, sat and talked about you know, my trip. I mean, he spent like a good hour and a half with me and it was all organic and friendly. And it wasn't like, oh, because I was doing outreach to him to get partnered with Trip Shock. And, you know, I just been sort of talking to him about the cursory understanding that I had of marketing when I was just getting first started. And, you know, and he was just so open and like genuine about like his information that he was giving me. And obviously if you guys are listeners to the show, you see what it's kind of blossomed into. And from that very first conversation, I learned how important it is to start networking and start talking with the people around me that know more about things than I do. So, yeah, man, this week has been great, dude. It's been like, you know, like, oh my God, like we had one of our best days ever on Sunday. And then my phone started blowing up right again as soon as Thursday hit or Wednesday hit or Thursday today and traffic was down. Everybody's like amnesia, erase. Like, yeah, like, you know, it's like the first thing that I do when I pick my kids up from the last day of school is all of our bags are packed that day and we're ready to start summer vacation. Everybody forgets that. Like, all right, we're going to have Memorial Day, right? And then there's going to be a break and then it's going to get busy again because families are planning their vacations, which is not happening right at this second.
Are you tired of spending countless hours managing your water sport and boat rental reservations manually? Is your current system outdated or doesn't provide the necessary features that your business requires? Hi, I'm Greg Fisher, the CEO of WaveRes, an online reservation software built by operators for operators. With our system, you can offer 24/7 online booking to your customers, allowing them to book and pay for their rentals at their convenience. You can also send SMS notifications to your customers, keeping them updated on their reservation status and any changes that may occur. Custom options and dynamic pricing enable you to offer tailored packages to your customers, helping you stand out from your competitor. Plus, our system integrates with companies like Werewolf Digital Waivers and Trip Shock, streamlining your operations and ensuring a seamless booking experience for your customers. Our software is the best choice for water sport and boat tour operators as it is designed to cater specifically to your needs. So why waste any more time on manual reservation management? Try WaveRes today and take your business to the next level. For a limited time, mention this ad and receive a $100 credit when you sign up. Check out waveres.com for more info or to schedule a free demo. Now let's get back to the show. I hate this period because so many people are clicking and searching and or paying a fortune in ads and it's not converting. But we know that, you know, this is kind of the precursor. So you got to really balance your budgets and not blow through like your entire June budget before, you know, you actually get to the sweet spot, which is like the second week of June when things really pick up. But that's a struggle. The first week of June is always like, you know, it's like if you don't spend the money, then, you know, maybe we might lose a customer that books in the future. But, you know, I always go back to my data. Like sometimes you just have to trust your data and not veer away. If you look at previous years, you can look in analytics if you have your e-commerce all hooked up and you can see the
It's awful. The switch to GA4 to those of us that don't have a booking platform like you do with WaveRes, so all of us, because we use Peak Pro and Fair Harbor and all that stuff. And I don't want to get into like Google Analytics, PPC, but I mean, dude, I see like a massive break between GA4 Universal Analytics and Fair Harbor and the pixel firing. Like, I mean, I looked at my GA the other day and it was like traffic down by 80%. And I'm like, is it really? Did we lose traffic? Is it really that much search? Because God. before the actual switchover, because we're in mid switch right now, it was like my traffic, although it wasn't converting, was way up, man. At the beginning of this season, my traffic was up like 47%. It was ridiculous, but not converting though. Still converting twice as much traffic, half the conversions. It was great. So this weekend I'm taking a break from that.
Well, I guess the point I was making, if it was working correctly, if you look at your attribution, you can see what your booking window is. And I know for TripShock, the booking window is about 3 days. Like, that's it. So if my data says that 3 days is kind of all I have, then I'm not going to go really heavy until people get here. Because if most of the people are looking for the next 3 months, I don't want those people because they are likely not to convert because it's such a last minute thing. So when you look at your data, you can come up with a lot of hypotheses that allow you to formulate, your marketing and advertising plan. So, for me, I focus on, the person that's in town that's looking for, the next 3 days. I mean, that's the primary focus. So then obviously I'm still advertising to people outside the area, but not as aggressively, because they're not converting as much as the people that are actually here. So anyways, I can get in the weeds on that.
Oh, I know you love it. You're a specialist on the PPC, but I'm a specialist on a good time, man. Like I am really excited. I am really excited for this weekend. I'm going back to Dallas, and I'm going to a network event. And do you remember Master P?
I remember him. Yeah.
Make him say, na 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 na.
Are you gonna meet him?
No, I did not buy the top level tickets, but no, he's like going to be talking about business and like, I mean, Master P's worth like, he was the first guy to break like 500 million, and he did like, man, just branding, clothing line, so much vertical integration and expanding beyond the reaches of just rap and producing. Like Master P is like arguably one of the most successful African American entrepreneurs in the country, and that gets glossed over because he's like grills and ice cream man and talking about selling dope. But the guy's got he's got like a business acumen of any CEO that brings a company to an evaluation of $500 million or more. So he is going to perform. He'll mostly be just sort of speaking about entrepreneurship. So I'm pretty stoked about it. And Mike Rowe from Dirty Jobs will be there. Yeah, my wife loves him, so I'm bringing her. It's going to be awesome, man. It's a part of a further network event that I'm involved in. So I like, we've had a couple guys on the show from this network, and I've been sort of like reluctant to pitch them because without getting like into the weeds of it, sort of how you like build a personal brand is sort of what Greg and I are doing. But typically you have an offer, right? So most people start a podcast because they have something to sell on the backside, and it's sort of like it's a product pitch, for like the ancillary benefits for Greg and I, in all transparency, is like, yeah, you hear about TripShock from Greg. Most recently with us, we fired up a boat test, and you're going to hear more about Take My Boat Test and what we provide. And it's not going to be a hard pitch. It's just going to be like, this is what we do. This is what we're known for. We are known because this is what we do. And if you need any help acquiring customers, Greg's got you. If you have any problems getting your customers a boat test, then I got you. And that's sort of like, we're not like, hey, let's stop in the middle of our organic podcast and talk about the things that we sell. So, this is like, the network I'm in is called Apex, and it's started by a guy named Ryan Stewman. And he's he's interesting, to say the least, man. He's like me with a couple extra zeros tacked onto it, right? And yeah, it's great. I really enjoy it.
Apex. So, tell us about why is it like, why Apex or just why networking groups altogether? Like, what is the ultimate goal with it? Because, we don't necessarily have a networking group with the AWG, but we have a Facebook group. I mean, it's just kind of I would look more of a community, but why go the next step and pay to be part of this?
Hey guys, we're going to take a quick break to talk about the Watersports Forum, which is now being rebranded as the Port at Arrival.
That's right, Kevin. We're going to be doing our third annual water sport and boat tour operator forum, now called the Port, from October 9th to the 12th. So let's break it down real fast. The first day, October 9th, is the full day event where we'll bring in speakers, host panels, do roundtable sessions. If you went to the year previous, you'll kind of understand the format. The rest of the week, we'll be partnering with the Arrival Conference to bring you supplemental programming in our special VIP room called Captain's Cove.
Listen, I want you guys to hear me loud and clear. If you guys are listening to this show, if you guys have ever come to one of our conferences before and you thought that was great, this is going to be jam-packed with value. Now, I want to tell you one last thing. Somebody, a very smart investor, once told me that you bet on the jockey, not on the pony. So I'm asking you guys to bet on this conference, on Greg and myself, on Doug and Bruce at Arrival, and know that the amount of value that you are going to extract from both of these conferences are going to be an incredible return on that investment.
So let's talk pricing. A one-day ticket for the forum will run $199. This also includes lunch and our after-hours event. If you decide to stay for the Arrival Conference, you can purchase a combo ticket, which gives you a 15% discount on both events. Because the pricing goes up each month leading up to the event, and this commercial doesn't change, please head to the watersportpodcast.com and click on 2023 conference. Again, watersportpodcast.com, click on the 2023 conference link in the menu, and then you can view the current pricing for the combo package and the arrival ticket. You'll also find info on lodging and programming. This year we're going to be having at the Rosen Shingle Creek, which is an awesome resort.
Special guest speakers. We're going to have a lineup that is going to knock your socks off. We're going to be covering everything from assets, finance, marketing, operations. Like, this is the one and done mastermind. And I don't know when we're going to be able to do something this comprehensive again. And guarantee you, if we do, we'll be bringing the same value in a smaller group for 10 times the amount of money, because it really is that valuable.
Be sure to get your tickets early because you only have 125 seats. Again, watersportpodcast.com, go to 2023 conference, and from there you can purchase your tickets, you can purchase your combo tickets, you can purchase your lodging. Everything you need to know about the conference is on that page. If you have any questions, just reach out to Kevin or myself, go to our Facebook group, hit us up. We'd be happy to answer anything you need, and we'll see you there. Let's get back to the show.
So I've always been interested in this stuff, right? So if you spend as much time on the internet as I do, then probably like 2017, 2018, it was the rage, right? So info courses and how to make money online was everything. And so some of this stuff in these courses is a little bit old hat. Like I'm still going through his course right now. I don't know if he's going to pitch me on Amazon FBA or banner ads, but back in the day, this was everything. You know, if you ran banner ads on your website and drove traffic to your banner, Greg's smiling because he's like, remembers this. I would not get behind the paywall, dude. Like it was so snake oily to me. Like the first moment I saw Ty Lopez and he did the Here in My, and I talk about it endlessly because I love it. It's like a piece of marketing. You know, like what Ty realizes, you could take a book, you could create a digital course out of that book, right? Russell Brunson expanded on it much further with ClickFunnels. But it's like, take something that somebody already did, add a 9 to it. Instead of $19.99 for the book, you pay $200, and we're going to walk you through step by step. And what Ty Lopez did was he presumably rented a Lamborghini, because I don't think he was quite there yet. He rented a Lambo and he put it in his garage, and then, you know, it's this old thing. He's like, oh, here in my garage, and he's standing there in front of the Lamborghini. He's acting like that's no big deal. He's like, oh, no big deal. That's just my Lambo. But he's like, you know what's more important than college? Knowledge. And he's got all these books sitting on his garage. And like, to his point, like, I completely agree, dude. Like, you should be reading books like nonstop and learning. But his thing was like, he ran all this traffic to that video. It was an astronomical amount. Like, he ran $1 million in paid ads or more to this course. And it was like, because the ad and the course lives in perpetuity, all he had to do was manage the ads and then collect the white meat off of what he made. So even if his product was recording that video, firing up the ads and running it to his course, that was it. He had his payment processor set in place, and whatever the margins was and whatever new courses he could attach to that link on that Here in My Garage video, whether it be Amazon FBA, whatever all these internet side hustles that are pretty much dead in the water now. So I was really intrigued by that. And then I basically fell into the pit of, and look, some of these guys in Apex too, like one guy talked to, he's like, yeah, $250,000 in courses later, courses, coaching, like all of this sort of stuff, which you can spend a lot of money to, and never really get any results, or you can read the book or take the first course and do what they tell you to and get the results that you desire. So the reason I chose Apex was because like Ryan was notorious on sales. Like he had a group with like, I think Sales Pros got like 110,000 people. He built a sales team around it. He came from, he was the hardcore closer back in the day to teach you how to sales courses, that type of thing. Grant Cardone University, all of these legacy car dealerships like were paying to get their guys how to chase down leads and make sales. And I just happened to be in his funnel, and his team reached out to me and they closed me. That's simple.
So I guess like you being when you first started getting into it, you were pretty heavily in Destiny. You weren't doing the boat test or kind of other ventures at the time. You said, but why would like a water sport operator, what is it that like Apex or even these networking groups can deliver for?
Oh, don't get me started on trying to pitch for them, but
I just want to. You're a little different case because you're starting a lot of different businesses and take my boat test and your personal brand, but like walk us through like why why these networking groups, like what will you get out of it in the end, or what's the
so there's like. So the reason this one, too, that I liked it was because I wasn't buying a course, right? I was going to Dallas quarterly. And sort of when I get in these funks, or, I talked about it on the last episode about sort of like losing my why or figuring out what I'm doing, or, trying to spin up new stuff. It's like it keeps me sharp, right? So I go, and I'm not talking to a jet ski guy or a boat guy, because I'm not like sort of scratching my temple and saying that's pretty interesting. Like to this whole point of branding and course taking, all this stuff, like I'm the authority in my niche. Not to say that I don't learn everything that I can every day, but because I spend so much time learning and talking about it, it's very rare that I walk into a room of operators where they're not asking me questions. So I thought it was intriguing and interesting to walk into a room of other verticals and other business operators and being like, what are your struggles? Like, what are you going through? Like, what are your interesting marketing ideas? And what I came to find was that almost universally, we all experience the same sort of experiences with running a business. And it doesn't matter if you're running a pizzeria or a jet ski rental or a car rental, or, you're building a hotel. There's a lot of things that are just baked into general business knowledge that are universally the same. So some of the stuff that their speakers get up and say, I'm just sort of like, yeah, I said that at the last Watersports conference. That's crazy. Yeah, I talked about this at the last. But what I did sort of see was that like me 3 years ago, or not recording and creating the amount of business content that I do, it's like, man, so much of this stuff is like stuff that guys in our network definitely need to hear, man. Like, but it becomes very difficult because there's so many consultants inside of that group that honestly, they don't, like, they're just getting starting on their journey, and they're pitching like SOPs, or they're financial consulting, or like marketing strategies, and they're very much just a solopreneur getting it started. And then I'm like talking to them, and I'm like, man, you're missing like 80% of like what you need to be focused on in your business, and it's really wild that you're a business consultant, but yet all of this stuff is going over your head. So I've got to because it's all business owners of different walks of life, you have to be very careful about who you do business with and who you promote. And that's frankly why I was very quiet about being involved in Apex, because I had yet to get into, I had experienced the network side of it. But I didn't get into their course yet. because at the beginning I sort of was like, oh, I know all this stuff. And then, lo and behold, come to find out, no, I don't. There's a very successful guy that owns a business of selling networks who knows, immeasurably, quantifiably much more about personal branding, content creation, and sort of the get after and go that I espouse on the show.
Yeah, we talk on several shows about it's a lot about who you know. The state of Florida specifically, my network is very vast. Yours is too. A lot of it has to do with the podcast and the forum and Arrival and Trip Shock. It's just a friend of mine, he's starting up his business, and we've had several conversations, and it really opened my eyes up of how many people I know in this industry because of and how quick I am able to get answers. People that will answer my phone calls in a timely manner, or lend me their ear on things. But that's pretty amazing. But you brought up a point about our industry sometimes is in a bubble, and my other company, the security software, it's entirely different. Everything is different about it, from how we acquire customers to the product to the business model, and I love it because it actually teaches me a lot about what I need to know about my other businesses and vice versa. I'm pulling things away and putting them in. And I'm sure with Apex, you go there and you talk to people that are completely outside the industry. They're going to give you a whole new viewpoint that you wouldn't get. And I guess the question people are thinking well, why couldn't I just not get that at my local chamber of commerce? No, you're not going to get that at your local chamber of commerce. These are people that are on an entirely new level that you're not going to find someone who, is a real estate agent in your town, they'll work 9 to 5. These are people, I'd imagine, just from the few people I've met from Apex, these are true entrepreneurs and, what do you call them? Just go-getters.
Yeah, man.
People
Hustlers,
that way beyond hustlers. Yeah. These are way beyond, what you're, and I'll tell you, that's why, I love the community that we're building is the people that are very active, like in our Facebook group or listen to the show. There's a different pedigree to those folks. We have really deep conversations. We're thought leaders in the industry, and we're creating this community that never really existed. We're creating our own Apex in some degree, within the AWG.
We're just not making the money,
We're just not making the money. No.
The guy, Ryan, it's so funny, man. In the beginning, he was he did the whole Lambo shtick and Rolexes too, but now he's very much it's really interesting because they talk about rocket fuel the year before, and they talk about working in your business, not on your business, or working on your business versus working in your business. And I sort of already made that transition. So, but you can see him change his brand. He goes from Lambos and fancy houses, and now he just bought a ranch, right? So now you can see the network is moving toward a more financial standpoint and a more of a here's how they have different modules inside of Apex that you can join. Entourage is the first, and it's $3,000. Entrepreneurs is the second, which is 10 or 12, and then executives is between 40 and 60,000, and that's for the year. But then they expect this commitment. They expect check-ins. They want to see you doing the work that you would be working on your business or working inside of your business. Working on your business, and sort of all right, here's how you use VAs. Here's how you use personal branding to expand your business. Here's how you use Facebook. It's very much, and then the next levels I can see him working on. He's basically, to this Ty Lopez point, Ryan is very well read in this. He's very connected in real estate. He is the ultimate entrepreneur like all of us. He's got, Ryan's involved in this. Ryan's involved in that. He's got bright, shiny toy syndrome he's the worst out of all of us probably, but he's also the most successful. And now you can see him tailoring his brand toward buying land. The things that he's doing. He's let me teach you about this. And he's made enough money where it's it's truly, I believe, a benevolent cause for him. Yeah, he's a hustler. He wants the money. Get out there and close the damn leads. But what really struck me and why I came back for the second year is how much he cared about his team. Like you can tell, because I truly care about my team, because I'm sort of at a much lower level, but working in parallel with what he's doing and seeing the moves he's making. And I'm like, man, like, yeah, like real estate has to be my next move. And to this point, like, you know, Keith Goss, like I was talking about it inside of one of the groups and Keith chimed in. He was like, Kevin, real estate, this is what you pay me for. You know what I mean? Why are you talking to these guys? Like, you found me in Apex. Like Keith and Doug Mitchell, in all transparency, they both came from Apex. You know, that's a group of 3,000 people in there. And I've had conversations with a couple hundred of them. And I can't imagine that there's like, I've had conversations with so many good entrepreneurs and smart guys inside that network. And it's just, even if I'm sort of like, know what they're telling me, it's like, it refreshes me and tells me like, yep, you got to get on it. What are you waiting for? Why don't you have your money in this? Why aren't you borrowing in this fashion? Why aren't you doing a 1031 exchange and getting involved in real estate and creating passive income? Like, I've done these things in my business, but I haven't done it in my personal life. And it's like everyone's just looking at me like, why not? Oh, mindset, because it's one thing they preach a ton about. It's all about perspective. It's all about how your mindset is. It's like, why do you hoard cash? It's losing value. Like all these great things and ideas, you know?
Well, a lot of people that listen to the show, I'm sure the number one reason they listen is because they want to make more money. You know, they get advice, tips, and make more money and grow their business. And growing your business is multifaceted. I have not generated my wealth from Trip Shock. I'll tell you that right now. It is not Trip Shock, although it has done very well for me. It's more of a networking tool and an educational experience to open up doors to other opportunities. Real estate is where I've made my, biggest returns. Also just the connections I've made through Trip Shock that have turned into other business opportunities, like the businesses I started, the security plugin, all that stuff was because of Trip Shock, and it basically branching off in other opportunities. So, I'm sure a lot of water sport owners I know, they own land, they own other businesses. And I'll tell you, if you ask any of them, they probably will say the most money they've made is when they sold a business or the rent they make on a property or a building, but the actual business itself is probably not where they're generating the majority of their income. At least the ones that have been around for quite some time.
Yeah, and I think to this point, obviously I've been in Apex for over a year now, and you've never heard me peep one word about it. And it's because, obviously, one, I don't get paid to sponsor anybody other than the sponsor of this show, and that goes right back into the show. And those guys in Apex would probably yell at us, hey, why aren't you guys making money off this? And look, that's not to say it's not coming down the pipe, because this show can only survive on, benevolence and community alone before we have to actually be entrepreneurs ourselves and say, hey, I think we have a great product for you guys. And, we're not going to sit here and hard pitch you, but, maybe a little bit of hard pitching because we want to tell you what we're doing. But then down the line, support us back. And I want to touch on this, right? Because I've seen it firsthand recently. And it's it's a little aside, a little bit about grinding my gears. But look, man, especially when money starts changing hands, network's fine and well. But if we're both selling something and you want me to buy your product and you want to be in business with me, well, it works both ways. Yeah, man, cool, let's do business together. I've got a great product for you. You got a great product for me. Let's exchange some money. I know how this works because our sponsorships all get business from us, and not outside of the sponsorships that they do. I give Steve money, he gives me money. We're constantly just trading it back and forth. Sometimes we do trade. Same thing with Merica. She's got clients in our industry. She sponsors the show. Dustin, he does stuff for us. It's a constant give and flow and give and take of, and that can't be one way. If you're gonna pitch me on something and I turn around and pitch you back, it's I just well, I'm not interested. You're not interested? Cool, me either. Because I'm in the business of doing business with, you know what I'm saying? That's fair. No big deal. We don't have to change money. It'll probably end up being a net even, and we could still give high fives. I still give you a hug and I still love you, but at the same point in time, that's how you do business.
I like the emails we get by people hey, I got a really great guest for you, and it's just a big product pitch. It's why don't you just come out and say that you want us to pitched your product, just be a sponsor. I mean, like, it's just all back. It's a backwards way of doing it. Like, just come be a sponsor on our show and help us out. You know, it's
feel free to make money off our podcast while like me and Greg just do it from the bottom of our hearts. You know what I mean? But regardless, all that stuff aside, I think probably in the future, I might bring on a couple of the sales guys, and we do marketing to death, like salesing to death too. It just, especially right now, it means everything. Like I can tell you right now that when I look at our numbers, our sales team is fucking killing it, man. Like they are getting after it. They're not letting one go. And that is another arena. Like we talk about acquisition and marketing all the time. Like we can bring these guys on. I'll let them hard pitch Apex all day. The 2 sales guys that I've talked to are fantastic young guys who honestly, Greg, I'll tell you, man, Zach Sassers, who in our group, he's the guy that got me into Apex. Where the kid's like, man, he's like 22. And I've just never seen somebody so singularly focused. He already has like 2 houses. You know what I mean? He's such a grinder. And I'm like, my God, like me and Keith talk about it. I'm like, man, can you imagine it being like that at 22? Like we wouldn't be doing anything at 32. Unless it's from the bottom of your heart. Like the kid will probably have 50 doors in the next 10 or more. Like he's such an animal. And Drewby is really great. Tattooed guy like me. He's kind of got like a hard edge on him. Well, maybe we'll bring those guys on and let them talk, extol the virtues of Apex, and we can talk further about it. Cause they've been with Ryan forever. So they definitely know more about it than I do. And you know, it'll be a fun conversation. So I'll reach out to him. We'll see what's up. Well, anyway, with that, I've got to talk to my therapist because I'm not just crazy on the podcast. I'm actually crazy in real life too. And with that, guys, we'll see you next time. You keep it awkward. Keep it medicated.
All right. See you guys.